joining DynTek, Trellix, and Alliant Insurance for today's webinar on cyber insurance trends and security controls. My name is Linda Ford, and I will help moderate today's presentation along with my colleague, Brett Harmon. So I'm pleased to welcome our panel of speakers today. We have CJ Dietzman, Senior Vice President at Alliant Cyber. We have Nolan Wilson, Vice President at Alliant Cyber. We have Bill Thorne, Senior Architect with Trellix, Joe Rubino, Senior Vice President with DynTek, and Rich Baker, Chief Cybersecurity Strategist with DynTek and our solutions. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Joe Rubino to get us started.
Thank you, Linda, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're located. And welcome to today's webinar. We're really excited to talk to you about a partnership set to provide a full-service approach to cybersecurity and risk management. Today, we'll be discussing the collaborative connected approach between Alliant Insurance Services, a provider of cyber risk management services and insurance, Trellix, a provider of security products and services, and DynTek, the combination of DynTek and our solutions. So a quick segue, because I know some folks are Alliant customers and some might be Trellix customers, DynTek and our solution customers. DynTek and our solutions merged back in August, and currently we sit as one of the top managed security services partners in North America and in the U.S. And the combined entity is right now we're a $240 million systems integrator that specializes in security and ongoing 24/7 managed services. Well, in the past, as DynTek and our solutions, we've gone out to our customers and we worked on security projects and we delivered managed security services to our customers. Through typically we work through the customers where DynTek was given projects, and ultimately when we talk to our customers, whether it be at IT or at the CISO or the CIO level, all our security projects were being driven by predominantly cyber insurance requirements and controls required by the insurance carriers to even just acquire the insurance. And the maturity of those controls, the implementation of those controls directly impacted the premiums of the insurance offerings. So a while ago, and actually back around the same time frame over the summer, we were engaged with Alliant Insurance on not only DynTek's cyber insurance journey for us to acquire cyber insurance as a managed security services provider, but also we get conversations in alignment to really come together and provide what we call the connected approach, which is an insurance carrier, DynTek Services, a provider of services and ongoing management of those capabilities, and leveraging companies like Trellix, who not only offers security products, and you'll hear more about them today, but they also cover a number of the cyber insurance controls that customers are implementing today. And what we hear more times than over is that there's a number of cyber insurance controls. There's a number of manufacturers implementing these controls, and we're hearing a lot from customers that they really want to begin to consolidate some of these controls, get the benefits of having the controls, the integration of the controls by one particular vendor, and the consolidation helps in the ongoing management, and ultimately can help save additional money as you consolidate and integrate the various controls. Ultimately, really, we want to talk about how our partnership not only enhances your organization's security posture, but really can help reduce costs and help streamline your security operations, and how we can be a force multiplier as a group to help take you through the journey from assessing your current situation as current your situation as it revolves around the requirements for the controls for cyber insurance, and then our ability to come in and assist as a partner to help stand up those controls, monitor those controls, and some of the other processes required for patching and training and phishing disciplines, and really leverage us as vendors that augment what you do in IT, so you can focus on running your business while we focus on running your your cyber security programs. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about today: Alliant Cyber Risk Management Services, Insurance. They're going to talk about the risk level of the customer, coverage needs. Really, I'm excited. I always talk to Alliant because there's evolving cyber insurance requirements. There's insurance market trends. There's been a rise in claims and premiums, which we're going to talk about. There's key cyber risk trends that they've identified, and then there's opportunities and challenges in the cyber insurance business, and looking forward to hearing from them. Trellix is a control environment, as a control vendor. They contribute to the technology capability of a customer cybersecurity program, specializing on advanced security controls, essentially for protecting your organization. And they cover a number of controls from intrusion detection, antivirus, email, and other tools you're going to hear about in their portion of the presentation. And the DynTek our solutions as an integrator. We're here to seamlessly integrate your solutions by Trellix and other vendors you might have in your environment into the IT infrastructure for the customer. We ensure all the components of the cybersecurity program work together and efficiently and the broader requirements of your controls. We help with the installation and configuration and provide ongoing support and maintenance. But ultimately, we play a crucial role in ensuring that the measures put in place meet the requirements stipulated by your Alliant Cyber Insurance for coverage, and monitoring ongoing moving forward to make sure those controls are maintained and operated in the expectation of your policy. We really want to provide a holistic approach. Collaboration effort, our three entities, really provides a comprehensive approach to security, where Alliant covers the financial risk aspect of it. Trellix provides the technical defense technologies, and DynTek and the integration and the monitoring of those controls. And ultimately, for you, it's improved for the customer, and the deliverables improved security posture, cost savings on the vendor control consolidation and cyber insurance premiums, and the ability to leverage as a force multiplier and ongoing service support of the initiative. And so feel free to ask questions, and I think we're going to type questions. There's a little chat area. We want this to be interactive, and so appreciate the feedback and your interaction in today's presentation. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to our folks at Alliant and have them take it from here. So I think I'm going to send it over to CJ.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Welcome, everybody. CJ Dietzman here with Alliant Insurance Services. Thrilled to be talking to you guys today, together with partners from DynTek and Trellix. Guys, this is a super important moment in the cyber risk management industry, but more importantly, across all industry verticals and sectors. 2024 is it is a super critical moment in consideration of cyber risk management in light of critical threats around key risks to business operations, to confidentiality, integrity, availability of systems, and then, of course, also, dare I say, the balance sheet implications of cyber risk. My colleague Nolan Wilson is on the call, is going to talk about all things related to the state of the cyber insurance market. But let's jump right into it, shall we? All right, just a little bit about Alliant Insurance Services, and specifically our cyber practice. Really, what we do is we help our clients navigate the full cyber risk management journey across 4 key pillars. One is risk transfer services. I want to let you know that this would be our core cyber insurance brokerage capability. We have some of the finest cyber insurance brokers in the world, including my colleague Nolan. We serve clients across industry sectors and really assist them with preparing their cyber risk narrative and ensuring that their position is optimized in advance of going to the market for coverage. We're not a carrier, we're not an underwriter. We do provide cyber insurance brokerage services. Coupled with that, we also provide risk analytics and quantification. This is where we can see some of those specific metrics about the dollars and cents implications, the most likely threat scenarios, potential loss models related to cyber incidents, various forms. We have a consultative capability, incident response planning, risk assessment, tabletops, security architecture, governance, controls. We offer a full suite of consultative services that really complement and go hand in hand with what we do in the core brokerage. We also assist our clients with remediation of any control deficiencies that they have. And that's the nature of our core relationship with DynTek, wherein DynTek is part of our Alliant cyber ecosystem, wherein we've got clients with security control deficiencies. Rather than say, hey, best of luck to you, client, go figure that out, Alliant takes a different approach. We step forward. We help our clients identify the right partners from our pre-vetted solution providers to help them remediate those matters. So that's a bit about who we are as Alliant Cyber. You can advance the slide, please. In terms of cyber insurability, some important things on this slide, and then I'm going to turn it over to Nolan to talk about state of the cyber insurance market. But in general, what I will tell you is that the controls that are enumerated on this page, MFA, multi-factor authentication, endpoint detection and response, managed detection and response, MDR and XDR, privileged access management, vulnerability management, backup and recovery, as well as the others, these have become table stakes, not only in the context of cyber insurability and optimizing your cyber insurance outcomes, but also in the face of some of those cyber threats facing all industry sectors that I mentioned. Okay, these are key controls, critical controls that will help reduce the probability and the magnitude of an incident. And then in the context of cyber risk management, can also reduce the magnitude of that impact. So, this list evolves over time, as do key threat actors and the most likely threat vectors and threat scenarios that are driving cyber incidents, loss, and claims. But what I can tell you with confidence right now, as we kind of stand at the edge, the kickoff of 2024, is that if you don't have a good narrative about each of the controls enumerated on this slide, even setting aside your cyber insurance objectives for a moment, it's time to dust off your security strategy, your architecture, and to sort of take a fresh look at everything. We're doing that with a lot of Alliant clients right now to make sure they're well suited in the face of the most likely cyber threats facing organizations in 2024. And spending time with that exercise and focusing on what matters most from a probability and magnitude for your organization will pay dividends. You will be in a better situation from a cyber resilience standpoint. Your cyber risk management posture will be enhanced. And as a resultant of all of that, your cyber insurability outcome should be a lot better than it was in prior year. So hopefully that helped set the stage around critical controls for cyber risk management and insurability. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Nolan. And Nolan is one of our leading brokers on our team, focused on the cyber insurance market. And Nolan can tell us a bit about the state of the cyber insurance market for 2024. Go ahead, Nolan.
Thanks, CJ. Can we just go back to the previous slide? I just want to make one more point on that as a follow-up to some of the things that CJ was mentioning. So we have this list here in all these boxes, and I think CJ is exactly right that the way we got to this list is really from all the feedback we've received from the insurance companies on determining, and this, like CJ said, this list has changed year to year, but these are the most important items. And it doesn't mean if you don't have one of these, it doesn't mean you're not going to get cyber insurance coverage, although in some cases it could, because there's a lot of variability depending on the size of the organizations. There may be more flexibility for very small revenue companies of a couple $1 million compared to very large companies over $1 billion. And it depends on the industry, loss history, a lot of different factors. But I think what we're trying to say with this slide is these are the key items that we've identified that if you can gather up the information, show what you're doing in each one of these items, and bring that submission to the marketplace, that's going to position you the best in order to create more competition in the marketplace. And once you can create competition, then you can leverage the different insurance markets in order to obtain broader terms and conditions, lower premiums, lower retentions or deductibles, and really drive the best results. So I just wanted to make that point. Okay, so on the cyber insurance marketplace, so just, broke it up into a couple different buckets here. I think that in, the standalone cyber insurance programs have been around for a while, but really did not catch on until, sort of the early 2010s or maybe mid 2010s. So the marketplace was, has slowly added in different levels of coverage, including business interruption and ransom and all the things that we hear and read about. Right coinciding with the pandemic in 2020 and 2021, we saw a big change in the cyber insurance marketplace where there was a lot of loss activity. Insurers responded by increasing premiums, increasing retentions, pulling back, reducing the amount of coverage, and also increasing the number of questions and information that they required, and also the minimum security controls that every organization was required to have. So from a capacity perspective, the capacity definitely pulled back kind of during 2020, 21, and some of 22. And now that's changed again. I think there's plenty of capacity in the marketplace for most buyers of insurance. Once you're going to buy, $300-400 million of limits, then, it can be a little bit more difficult. But besides that, there's plenty of capacity. You do see individual insurers had previously pulled back and were only deploying $5 million on any one risk, and that's really increased now back up to 10 million in most cases, depending on the account. I mentioned that a big change that continues to take place is driving these minimum security controls that are required for some companies to deploy capacity. Now, that may change from one insurance company to the next, but overall, those are the themes that we had on the prior slide, which are the main controls that most of the markets are looking to see. If you do have below level controls or you've had loss activity or you're in a very difficult risk class, then that's where you could see less capacity that's available, less insurers that are looking to deploy that capacity within those realms. But overall, capacity has been pretty stable. We still have different MGAs, managing general agents, who utilize other parties' capacity and just kind of act as the underwriting arm. We still have some new entrants coming to the market. They typically focus on a lot of the smaller and middle market business, so there's plenty of capacity there. From a coverage perspective, kind of what I mentioned, that we saw a big pullback in 2020 to 2022, but now that started to shift last year in 23 and even so far this year, which obviously only 10 days in, but we are broadening, we're seeing broader coverage. I mean, I think coming off, we had a lot of sublimits that went into place, different exclusions that went into place, really just a pulling back on the broadening of terms and conditions. And that's kind of flipped now. We're definitely getting broader terms and conditions on the renewals. I have in here a point about systemic risk, a situation where one event may impact thousands and thousands of companies. So that's something that the insurance marketplace continues to talk about. I don't think anybody has been able to come up with an accurate model, and no solution to that right now. So it still continues to be an issue. Some insurers are adding in like a catastrophic type exclusion or limitation on their policies, where if there is an event that is considered a catastrophic event, which is defined by the policy, there may be some limitations in how the policy pays out. But otherwise, I mean, I think, we're continuing to see insurance companies that are partnering up with other IT firms or third-party vulnerability scanning companies to enhance their underwriting process. And certainly, brokers, insurers, everybody seems to have additional pre and post breach offerings to help clients. From a retention perspective, again, I think we could probably have this arrow pointing down in a lot of cases. I'm getting lower retention options on renewals, potentially at the same time as price reductions, but we're very rarely seeing a push to increase retentions. If a company has had a bunch of loss activity, that could be a reason to push for higher retentions, but otherwise we're seeing flat to decreases in retentions. And then from a pricing perspective, it's been a good time to be a buyer. I think whether it's in the primary layer or excess layers, we're seeing the pressure on the pricing to come down, especially if you can create a lot of competition. That could be anywhere from a single-digit percentage increase to 10, 20, 30% increases, depending on where the program was coming in place before. And really, again, like to create that type of competition and get those kind of results, you really need to bring forward a full underwriting submission based on some of the things that we talked about in this prior slide. But overall, I think for 2023 and 2024, it's definitely a good market for the buyers of insurance compared to where we were in 2020 to 22.
Great. Thank you, CJ and Nolan. That was extremely informative. I know we have some questions that have already rolled in, but we will save those for the end and turn it over to Bill Thorne from Trellix.
Hi, good afternoon and welcome to the webinar, everyone. As mentioned, I'm Bill Thorne, Senior Architect and Strategist for Trellix. I'm focused on government, healthcare, and education across the U.S. So, first a quick introduction, just who is Trellix. If you're not familiar with Trellix, you're probably familiar with who we were. Trellix is the combination of two long-time security powerhouses, FireEye and McAfee, and those companies came together in 2022 to form Trellix as an XDR company. Next slide. Trellix has more than 40,000 customers. We're in 90 plus countries. We're also in 78% of the Fortune 500 and more than 95% of the US federal government. Next slide. Ed? So why focus on XDR? And really, that answer is quite simple. Your operating environment is more complex than ever, and your data is flowing everywhere. Organizations, frankly, just can't keep up with the separate tools and consoles, providing separate insights, and then trying to manually stitch everything together. Organizations need a system that can help them make sense of all this patterns and flows across their operating vectors, but then help them identify subtle anomalies as well, and then be able to take actions to quickly contain those threats. Next slide. So, why XDR and how is that aligned to what we're talking about today? So, attacks today tend to be multi-stage and multi-vector in nature. So your analysts must be able to quickly pull all that evidence together. For example, a threat that begins an email may quickly evolve into command and control and lateral movement using common tools like PowerShell and using compromised credentials. From there, the attacker may escalate privileges, set up additional backdoors and covert communication channels to maintain a foothold and then be able to move data out. Data stolen may come from the local machine itself, or it may come from things like shared drives on your network, OneDrive, SharePoint, or other cloud resources like that. In this one example, we have elements from each of these vectors. And at the time required for the threat actor to affect all of this is dropping precipitously each and every day that we're looking at it. So thus, true XDR requires visibility, analysis, and response capabilities across your organization's operating vectors. XDR is not just adding network context to EDR events and calling it XDR. That's still just EDR. Trellix already provided detection and response capabilities across each vector independently, but with Trellix XDR, we centralize those capabilities and provide cross-vector analysis and insights. We can then overlay critical contexts like intelligence automation, AI analysis, and others to provide a complete solution. This is what makes Trellix the most comprehensive XDR platform on the market today. This approach provides your organization the ability needed to detect, analyze, and respond at speed. Next slide. So as we look at the controls CJ and Nolan discussed, typically what we're seeing is a lot of organizations are doing all of these at different levels, but often they're doing them in siloed fashion too. So they're not looking at this holistically. As we look at it, it's one thing to keep in mind. Alliant, Trellix, and DynTek all have different roles here, but it's roles in the same mission, and that mission is to help protect your organization and reduce your cyber risk across the board. A program that's built with intentionality around cyber risk, built with a good foundation of a strong platform, built with bespoke shaping by top cybersecurity experts, and then with the guidance and backing of leading cyber risk and insurance partners like Alliant, this becomes a recipe for your success as you move forward. Next slide. So here we've highlighted some controls in blue. These are the controls that I would look at. Trellix XDR platform controls become the cornerstone for cyber resilience with these, and I'll dive into that a little bit deeper. Next slide. So let's just take a walk through our high-level architecture to demonstrate how we pull the pieces together. You know, if you look at the bottom there, our platform starts with the foundation of intelligence. So with Trellix Advanced Research Center, our intelligence arm, intelligence from billions of sensors around the globe, intelligence from key partners and global certs that we work with, and even your local organizational context being fed in there. The foundation that you see there is unparalleled. From there, we overlay our core controls in green, which are made up of our large arsenal of cyber capabilities. And then in addition, we have the ability to integrate with more than 1,000 partner and competitor solutions to collect events and observables for analysis. This allows you to continue to maintain the investment in things that you've already put time and effort into. Our XDR uses multiple analysis engines to parse and normalize the data. We'll provide appropriate contextualization and enrichment of events, then perform multi-vector correlation, appropriate prioritization to ensure that we're just correlating and surfacing the events that really matter. It's important to minimize false positives. False positives are very costly to organizations. And it's also important to minimize the chasing of separate but related events as well, so that you're not duplicating efforts just to find out you've already seen this in your environment before. From there, Trellix provides the ability for automated responses as well as orchestrated and AI-guided responses to ensure consistent and complete investigation of each of the incidents that you see. Overlaying all of this is what we're calling Trellix X Console, and this provides a common user interface for the XDR platform. It's custom tailored for each persona to ensure that each user has access to the data and capabilities most important to their individual mission there. By combining the Trellix XDR platform with DynTek's managed detection and response service, the organization further extends their cyber incident response capabilities with best-in-class tools and expert operators to dramatically reduce risk across the board. Next slide. So I'm not going to walk through all of our core capabilities. We literally have dozens of security solutions. But I wanted to give one example of our core engines, and that's our network detection and response. So the Trellix NDR provides extensive detection, protection, and analysis capabilities for all of your networks. It could be your small offices, your data centers, also your cloud VPCs. We use multiple signatureless engines and AI-driven engines to combine with our best-in-class sandbox, robust packet capture, and even asset discovery to eliminate all of the network blind spots, including your OT environments as well. Gaining visibility and understanding to everything talking on your networks, detecting communication anomalies such as lateral movement inside your perimeter, and then being able to correlate the events to other activity in your environment, all while immediately containing the threat this is what reduces your network risk dramatically. Next slide, please. So here the controls highlighted in green represent critical controls where, while we may not have a core engine for that, we have core integration partners. And additionally, we can provide critical context and add significant value throughout by overlaying our intelligence and analysis over top. Yeah, this is an example of identity and account management. If we look at it, XDR can integrate with your Active Directory, with your MFA, multi-factor authentication provider, your privileged access management tools, and provide critical authentication analytics and use that to enhance alert context. These analytics and integrations become critical inputs into your security operations functions, such as automated response and remediation to compromised systems and accounts. We can feed backwards into risk-based authentication and adaptive access policies as well. Further, if we think about it for threat hunting, authentication failures, success rates, and patterns within XDR can help identify targeted attacks or even policy loopholes that you may have in your environment. Next slide. In this example, revolves around today's heavy dependence and associated risk around third and fourth party suppliers, a growing problem for organizations everywhere. You still have the need to digitally exchange documents and data with all these outside entities, and that continues to increase while at the same time third and fourth party risk from organizations continues to significantly grow as well. The Trellix Cloud Sandbox, known as Intelligent Virtual Execution, or IVX for short, this provides organizations with advanced yet ubiquitous analysis capability to ensure the safe exchange of data between entities. So IVX can allow the exchange of documents and data for upload to things like your company portals and applications, HR systems, as well as your collaboration across productivity, messaging, and storage applications in the cloud. IVX can integrate with your other security processes and tooling to provide forensic sandbox analysis as well. So if you have need for your SOC to upload files for analysis, or you have other tools that need to integrate with the sandbox, all of that's available. IVX uses state-of-the-art analysis to find threats. For example, something that we've seen in the last 3 months, Trellix has observed more than 60,000 attacks utilizing QR code embedded in documents and email. IVX, as well as some of our other Trellix tools, will analyze the QR code and associated links to ensure they're safe as well. IVX detections are then fed into our XDR. The indicators are shared as IOCs immediately throughout your environment, and that further inoculates you from any other threat. Then lastly, we have the gray boxes here. They indicate areas that are more process-oriented in nature. Information within XDR, though, can still help in these areas as well. For instance, incident analytics can be used to help inform your cybersecurity awareness priorities to ensure you're getting maximum return on that investment, making sure that you're focused on the areas that are affecting your organization the most. Likewise, threat intelligence data on threat actors and the techniques and TTPs that are targeting your organization, your region, or even your sector. All those can be used to drive tabletop exercise scenarios that are more real world and provide relevant threat scenarios targeting your organization as well. The last slide. So, this is just a small glimpse into what Trellix offers. We protect devices, networks, cloud, data, collaboration, and identities. As I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, a truly successful security program requires a clear understanding of your risk profile and how you're going to operationalize yourself to defend against that. We put forth a platform of capabilities such as those offered by Trellix that protect as they extend your team, combined with a partner with broad security expertise like DynTek to help shape your program, and a trusted cyber risk management and insurance partner like Alliant to provide consultation and peace of mind to face the challenges ahead. That's how you're going to win this race. And so I think the three of us together, we deliver comprehensive security. So I'll stop there, and now I'll hand it over to Rich Baker.
Thanks, Bill. So as Joe kind of mentioned, DynTek and our solutions kind of came together in August, as well as looking to expand further across North America. As a combined entity, we are now in the top 100 MSSPs globally, moving from 157th up to 60th last year, and have continued to expand and grow in the rest of 2023. We operate 3 security operation centers in North America, and currently employ 240 plus employees, specific and targeted towards cybersecurity. We have over 60 cybersecurity professionals dedicated to serving our clients. Clearly have a deep bench of expertise, accreditations, certifications. I think some of our guys collect them like alphabet soup. What we're really proud of, though, is our 99% plus client retention rate in our managed services. If you don't lose clients and you treat your clients right, it's a lot easier to grow a company. And what's really led that is not only our focus on customer service, but our ability to provide comprehensive managed security services that not only focus on the core of XDR, but all of those other needs and controls, like we're showing you today with the cybersecurity controls. Go ahead, Linda. So I know this slide's been up a whole bunch of times. The point is we can't all be experts in everything. And so for many of our clients, while they may have in-house expertise for, 5, 6, 8 of these controls, DynTek and our solutions have the ability to help you with all of them. And so we don't tell you that we can only do some, or you have to do some, we have to do. The point is whatever your needs are, and for whatever those controls that you're looking for a little bit of guidance and help, we not only can provide some of the advisory services, but in almost all cases have vendor partners like Trellix that can help deliver the technology, and then use us to not only design, implement, configure, but also provide that evidentiary flow so that you can attest to the efficacy of controls when it comes time to do your cyber risk insurance assessments and attestations. Go ahead, Linda. So why are some of the clients looking at us for the managed security service? Well, to do 24/7 monitoring, it's very expensive and capital intensive to build out those teams to do it 24 hours a day. As well, I think the shortage of resources and staff in the cybersecurity market lead clients to work with us because we have lower costs, and there's a lower cost to entry to get that same service versus building it in-house. Because we do this all day, we have the benefit of also having the visibility of working with companies in every different industry, vertical, and sector, which gives us a real understanding and a true picture of real-time risk from the front lines of us protecting clients around the world. That really gives us the advantage of sharing those threats, and not only from their experience, but the threat intelligence we see. And we can often, even geographically, sometimes predict where those attack and malicious actors are going to come from over time. That 365-day, 24/7 a day coverage through our redundant security operations centers means there's not a minute of downtime, and we're always watching there protecting our clients. Because we have such a high number of clients in all the different sectors, we really get to see at scale the attacks that are coming, and then adapt the protections for our clients to actually maximize their protection. Internally we say your security becomes our brand, And back to what Bill said, it really allows you as a customer to focus on what is your primary business and core mission and help deliver on that while having a trusted partner to work with you on monitoring and responding to your cybersecurity threats. And then, of course, whether it's the insurance, HIP, PCI DSS, we help you attest to your regulatory requirements that you may have from any of those compliance frameworks. Go ahead, Linda. So with our managed extended detection and response services, we have a US-based SOC as well as 2 other North American SOCs. We offer all of our security operations, SIM management, MXDR services. We do leverage security orchestration automated response. I think like Bill mentioned, whether it's a client or us, we all need to focus on, being more efficient with the human analysts that we have, and, especially to take away repetitive tasks and to enrich the events so we can be more efficient and reduce that mean time to resolution. We offer full and comprehensive, obviously log management and SIM services. And that really focuses on collecting all of the tooling, the data and events from all of your environment, whether it's your endpoints, your network security controls, your authentication controls, as well as any other security controls in your environment. The broader and the more comprehensive the data that we can get, the better that we can do to do that 360-degree scoping, investigation, and response. And really, it's the answering of the who, what, when, why, where, and how. Really backing a lot of that is the threat intelligence. When we can provide attribution and give some indication of the threat actors behind it, it really allows us to change how we respond to those incidents and events for you as a client. If we can identify the threat actor, it gives us the ability to look at what the tools, techniques, and processes are being, typically leveraged by that actor. And then we can also, do other monitoring and investigations on where else they might have tried to get in your environment. Obviously, everything we do and we produce, it's done through a risk-based approach. So that includes additional assessments and vulnerability monitoring and management. And then when those bad days happen, and they will happen, we want to be efficient in our response, but it's really being there as an incident response provider for you, whether it's an on-prem threat or in the cloud. So the challenge of the whole services world is in MXDR and in managed security service, it's not one thing. It is an idea and a premise that it's more than the endpoint. And so this is a sampling of some of the things that we include in our MXDR or can be included. Whether it's the endpoint email security, the email phishing, cybersecurity awareness, cloud and identity security, obviously SIM and log analytics platforms, incident response, and vulnerability patch management. All of these specific services can be incorporated within our service, and it's always done based on what is your need as a client for where you have resources, skills, and capabilities, and where you maybe don't have all of those skills and capabilities and are looking for a provider to become an extension of your cybersecurity team. So as I said, with that 99+% customer retention rate, really it's because of the white glove service that we give our clients. Whether it's from the onboarding and the initial, setup and instrumentation of the environment, through the monitoring, incident response investigations, to the executive reports. And really what we need to do is work with you as clients and align those things so that it supports your business and security objectives and initiatives in a way that makes you successful, while maintaining the highest level of security and the strongest security posture that we can deliver. So I'll turn it back to Linda.
Great, thanks, Rich, and thanks everyone for the presentations today. We're going to open the floor right now for questions. Just also as a follow-up to all the presentations today, lots of great information, kind of showing the holistic view of tackling the cyber issues today. If you're interested in a follow-up from Alliant Cyber or Trellix or DynTek, we can help coordinate that. If you're interested in looking at a cyber liability insurance assessment or getting a quote or understanding what the next steps are there, please let us know. A consultation to review any of the different controls that we reviewed today, or a demo of some of the solutions, please reach out to marketing@dyntek.com or your local account rep, and we'll be happy to connect you with CJ and Nolan or Bill's team to do some follow-up today. So With that, I'll just go ahead and turn it over to Brett. Do we have any questions so far?
We do. So the first one is actually has multiple parts. And the first part of it is what is the best practice for running tabletop drills and how often and who do you include in those?
I can take that one. That's an important question. And I often like to say with a question like that, the readiness is all. It's not enough, nor is it sufficient to just have an incident response plan, just like it was never enough to have a business continuity or disaster recovery plan. We must test, validate, improve, wash, rinse, repeat. Same thing applies with cyber incident response. And the tabletop has become an incredibly important, at a minimum, annual exercise. Nolan and I work with a lot of clients on this front. Alliant Cyber performs tabletops for our clients. You know, a couple things around best practice. I mentioned minimum 1 year, minimum annually, depending on where you're at, complexity of the organization, size, business units, more frequent or diverse approach oftentimes is appropriate. What I'll say in terms of attendees, you want a nice, diverse group of attendees. I would say executive leadership, council, internal and external, technology leaders, cyber risk and security leaders, risk management, marketing, business unit leaders, okay? Just to name a few. Communications becomes so critical. What we intend to do with these tabletops is to smoke out blind spots. We identify blind spots and then we help our clients remediate them. So those are just a few thoughts in terms of the frequency and typical attendees, but fantastic question and super important.
And then the second part to that was what scenarios do you run during those types of drills?
Yeah, what a great follow-on question. I would say, as I would say to a friend, I'll say to everybody on this webinar, if you haven't done a tabletop on ransomware, call me. You need to do one. You know, in all seriousness, folks, the pervasive threat of ransomware is not going away. Some might say, well, it's old news. No, it isn't. It's actually as relevant today as it was 4 or 5 years ago. And we need to be prepared for that. So ransomware is one. Also third party incident. If you look at the history of cyber incidents and loss over the past 10 years, even the past 5 years, many of these incidents that I've worked as an incident responder and in working with Nolan, with clients who have claims and loss, we see third party involvement. So if you haven't taken a fresh look at your third parties lately in the context of a cyber incident, you really need to. Those are two big ones.
I'll add a comment on here too. I actually strongly suggest the first few times that people do a tabletop exercise, they bring in a third party. I've seen a few companies try to do it internally, and well, yes, you can do it. It's the way it's documented, the findings and the follow-up become very critical to ensure that you're progressing your cybersecurity posture.
Great. And then another question is, if I met all the controls, am I guaranteed the best possible coverage?
I can take that one. So I think I don't know if we can say it guarantees it, but I think it increases the likelihood that you will be able to obtain all the enhancements that are available in the marketplace. And I think that the way that you do that is not only with each individual insurer, just recognizing that it's a top quality risk, but as long as I mean, to me, a successful placement is based on creating competition between the markets so that there's multiple insurance companies that want to write that risk. And then you can utilize that leverage to improve the terms and conditions kind of and obtain the best of several different options by getting the carriers to enhance different coverage and options and, you know, waiting period retentions and making sure there's no sublimits. So I think it provides you with the highest likelihood of getting the broadest coverage.
Great, thank you. Let me check if there's any more that came in. I think that's it.
There's one more question that just popped in, Brett, so I'll just read it real quick. And I think it goes back to the tabletops, and it just said, I think you might have covered part of this, CJ, but we'll just reiterate, is how often should you do a tabletop exercise and an audit if this has never been done before?
Yeah, and just let me address the last question there, the audit. audit versus assessment, probably beyond the scope of this call, of this webinar, but a couple things to note. In terms of assessing and evaluating your critical controls for cyber insurability, for cyber risk management, for overall cybersecurity, at a minimum, you should self-assess and remain vigilant at a minimum annually. Of course, continuous controls monitoring has been an ideal, an objective for many of us toiling in this industry for a very long time. But, you know, anything outside of 12 months, if you haven't dusted off and taken a fresh look at what you're doing in the context of new business developments, compliance matters, emerging threats, you're stale. You are so stale. You're behind the curve. So at a minimum, we need to take a fresh look annually. We need to look at potentially revisiting certain controls and monitoring at least on a quarterly basis, which is why it's so important we work with partners like DynTek to make sure our clients have instrumentation, monitoring, and other advanced capabilities, because these manual processes can get overwhelming. But again, that and the commentary on tabletop that we just shared, I think will get you in a good spot.
Great, thanks, CJ. I don't think I see any more questions right now. Brad, do you? No?
No.
Any final comments from our panel before we close out the session today? Great.
Last comment I'll give is I think people are starting to evolve from compliance to being secure. Compliance, people think of as a checkbox once a year. Being truly secure is living, breathing it, and operationalizing that security on a day-to-day basis to protect your systems and information and IP on an ongoing basis.
Great, thanks, Rich. Well, I'd like to thank. Was there someone else that had something?
I was just going to second what Rich said. I was going to say almost the same thing. It's important when you approach these controls, they're not check boxes, that you need to put some rigor behind them and a process to look at it as a continuous improvement exercise. And then that way you'll continue to evolve and mature as you go.
Wonderful. Well, I would like to thank everybody for attending today. As I said at the beginning, we will send you a copy of this recording shortly, as well as a thank you gift for attending today. I'd like to thank all of our panelists for really kind of showcasing what a consolidated motion and solution looks like around cybersecurity. So thank you so much to our friends from Alliant and Trellix and our team here at DynTek and our solutions. And we thank you for attending today. Have a great day.